And last we have Nuria Albert. She's a PhD in science, and she has a background also in energy management, and she is running a very innovative and potentially fruitful project in the island of La Palma, which is called La Palma Renovable. Renewable La Palma is trying to introduce as much as possible renewable energy in La Palma. So this is a very promising project. All the society is becoming enthusiastic with this project. And she is going to talk about the project, how she tries to pursue this objective as a sustainability objective for the island of La Palma to become La Palma a renewable energy society. I must say also that she has been in the European Union. She has been founded by the European Union, and she has been in meetings with the European partners, and she also was last week in a meeting in Spain because La Palma is going to be an example of the application of renewable energies in Europe. So thank you very much, Nuria, for coming to this course, to this program, to the Global Sustainability Fellows Program. And we are very happy to work with you because we think we have a lot to learn from you, from your initiative, your impulse, and it's going to be a very good energy for moving La Palma to sustainability. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I can talk, or is it for the... Thank you very much, and I have 20 minutes to explain the energy system of La Palma, so I don't know how I will manage, but I'll try to go fast. But I didn't want to start without this, because it's the why we're doing this. We are a social organization, an NGO, and it started as a social movement. And then we convinced the local administration that something had to be done with energy issues, because nothing was being done. And we actually started to work with the local administration. So we are a kind of special project that we are a social movement, but at the same time we're working very close to the local administration. So sometimes we have kind of different hats on us. But why we are doing this? Especially there are two main reasons: climate change and energy, the lack of energy that we will have soon with fossil fuels. I'm sure you have seen this graph, but the first time I saw it was so extreme for me that I have to put it as a context. This is the last 100,000 years of the Earth with the temperature, and exactly the last 20,000 years we have had this very stable temperature, which I don't think it's a casualty, like that culture, agriculture, all that the society as we know it started in this period. And what we are doing with our way of living, we are just pushing this totally out. This is the increase of energy. Right now we are 1.2 degrees over the average, and we probably will go to, 1.5 and over. We don't know if we keep doing these stupid things that we're doing. We will fry this Earth. This is the last IPCC study, and we can see here in Canary Islands, we are especially, we will have problems with water lack. We will have not enough water, which with everything else what it means. And I don't know if you have seen this graph and what it means for us being an island in the Atlantic Ocean. This is right now, it was now in July, the last data. This is the average temperature, surface temperature of the Atlantic, the North Atlantic. It's getting out of order. It's like we don't know if we are passing a tipping point. What means if the water streams, like the flows, is changing, all the winds that are coming are changing. Everything will change for us. So our survival is at stake. We're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So this is one part. The other part, energy. What's happening with the fossil fuels? Well, what we can see here, this is official data from the International Energy Agency. If no more investments are done, what it will happen is that we will not have enough energy, and most of energy in our planet is not renewable, it's actually fossil fuels. And if we put more investment, this will change. But now, well, I will not go into details, but it's a complex world we're living. A lot of companies are leaving the investments in fossil fuels, which is good. But then it means that the economy will probably crash. On the other hand, we have seen this last year that Shell has said that they will forget about climate change because, again, the investments in fossil fuels were good. So now they are again into the business, which is bad for climate change. So we are stuck in this nonsense. Going to La Palma and Canary Islands, we can see here most of the, we're talking this electricity, and then we will see that electricity is only a small part, but electricity, most is, the dark blue is renewables. Everything else is not renewables, just talking about electricity. So we are really, really in a bad situation. This is the data from La Palma. So the blue line is the total electricity consumption, and these small lines here are renewable, like the red is the total renewable, and then we have mostly is wind. And then we have some PV, photovoltaic solar energy, but very small still. We can see this in 2021, the last official data, which is 90% is fossil fuels, more or less. And we're talking about electricity. And now we'll see, well, this is, you probably have seen this, Los Guinchos is where 90% of electricity is produced. It's not only but for everything, it's ugly. So when all tourists arrive here, the first thing they see is this, and it's nonsense. Why are we doing this? It's nonsense. And here we have the data of all energy. And what I was saying before, electricity, that's this yellow part, 35% of the whole energy. Because when we talk about the challenges we have ahead, and everyone thinks about electricity, but it's actually a very small part, and I think it's actually the easiest part, although it is not easy, I can tell you, because renewables in small systems, as our system will never be connected to other islands. It's too long and too expensive to connect. So it's only the maximum peak consumption is 40 megawatts, which is not a big system, which means that it's quite soon we'll have problems in integration of the renewable energy, because renewable energy is when it is. We cannot control when it's sunny or when it's windy. So we have to have batteries, we have to have flexibility. We don't have, before they were talking, we don't have own markets, electricity markets, so our prices are mainland prices, which it makes it even more complex. We have been talking to see if we can change that, but it's a political question which is not very important in the Spanish agenda. So we have so many challenges, but still they are small. If we see the whole graph, we can see that, actually I was very surprised when we took this data, 31% of the energy is transport inside the islands. So we're burning a lot of fossil fuels just to move around the island. And then we have these flights and sea transport, which is pretty big. This, being an island, we have very good data in some things. For example, the electricity and inland transportation. Marine and flight, it's not as good data because, of course, we have to calculate. We calculate the half of the energy of the transport, but especially of the sea transportation, it's very difficult to get all the data. So it's more approximate, but the other ones are exact. And then when you see everything, all the energy consumption, and then we see the part of that is renewable, it's even smaller. It's not even 2%. How we will solve this problem? I don't know, sometimes my days are like, okay, another day without moving this number. But we're there, and then we have this problem that we're in the middle of nowhere, actually. So we are very dependent on everything, in food, in energy, everything. Then we will talk later probably about water also. We pump a lot of water because most of the water comes from the other side, so it has to be pumped. So without energy, this side of the island probably wouldn't have enough water either. So, and then we have this other big problem. The last year we did a study on energy poverty, and actually that last week I was in Spain, we were working in a European project, and I was so surprised. We saw that I think it was 16% of the population was answering that they cannot pay their energy bills. Although here you can see it's sunny, it's windy, and we could have quite good energy prices, but no, we are burning fossil fuels. And another answer that was very striking to me, it was almost 1/3 of the households were answering that they couldn't maintain their houses at adequate temperature. Well, you see this temperature. The problem here is that the building quality are really, really, really low. So we have to do something about that. And that's a very difficult problem to solve also because, you know, in North Europe, for example, you do an investment to make better houses and it returns. Here it's much difficult for the investments to return, but still people are suffering. Not only temperature, that can be too hot or too cold, but even humidity and other problems in the houses. So yeah, challenges. And about the objectives that we are having. In Spain, it was decided 2050, it could be when we would be decarbonized. Canary Islands, the last government that just changed said that it could be in 2040. And this is the plans for the reductions for 2030. I will not go into details, but we don't know what happened now because it was a change in government. And actually, I got the spirit, well, it was 2 days ago that the new president said something about 2050 again. So the whole ambitions they had, it's just up in the air. So we don't know what will happen with that. But yeah, I showed that before. So what should we do? One thing that is very important, energy savings. And we are showing this picture because we have a problem usually when we put more efficiency, we change everything to LEDs, the lights, and then we use more of them, so we are not changing the numbers. So we don't see that energy is going down, the consumption, which we should solve that. But I will start now putting some good news, because I think we had enough bad news. People are putting PV in their households. Actually, La Palma was one of the islands in Canary Islands that had more PV in their households in the whole, like per inhabitant. We don't have, now Canary Islands has stopped putting the data open, so we don't know anymore. But we were in a quite good position, and we think also it's because we have been doing a lot of work from the social movements, and also local administration have been putting money, so people did their part. This is the same comparison by islands. And then now, very fast, what we're doing in the middle of this nonsense and trying to do our very small things. La Palma Renovable is this organization. We're doing many, many things. One of the things that we are doing is, for example, trying to mix culture with science, so to get to people. I will not go into details, because I don't have too much time, but I want to explain two things that we are doing that I think it's very interesting. I could talk 1 hour about this one, but I will not. Energía Bonita. This is the first energy community that we have promoted and created. It's a cooperative, a non-for-profit cooperative. And our goal is that, the professor before she was talking about these monopolies, how big companies are they are controlling everything. I didn't say that, but we did some calculations and with our numbers, and we more or less were spending about 100 million euros every year burning fossil fuels, 100 million euros, which is more than income that the bananas are giving, or even tourism some years. So what are we doing? We are burning in the air 100 million euros. So our idea is that if we change to renewables, we don't want big companies to come and take all this income and outside of the island. We want that it's the local population that owns the renewable energy all the installations. But not only that, we want it in a democratic way to decide what type of energy, where, which mix of energy resources, because it's, of course, there is one part that's technology, but I'm a physicist, but usually I say that it's the human factor, the one that's blocking more, right? And we have to do a lot of work, and we are doing this work into deciding. And actually now there is, I haven't talked about too much about technology, as you have realized, but now I can talk a little bit about technology. We don't know, I mean, we know we have temperature in this island underground. I'm talking about geothermal energy, but it's not that easy because you also need water at certain temperature and pressure underground. And just making these tests to see, it's 10 million each one of them. And usually you have to count 30 million euros just to know if you have enough resources for geothermal. Right now we are like the public administration is starting to work after so many years. It was about time, but now we are getting organized. Mostly it will be a company. Most of the part will be public, and then we are invited. The private companies also in this island, and the energy cooperative is part of it, and we are parting of these conversations. That's only one of the things that we decided this year we will be part of it. But we are doing all other things also. One of the biggest projects that this year we have to, because we got a big subsidy and we really want to. We want to install 9, it's called collective self-consumption installations of 100 kilowatts each one of them, all over the island. The idea of how it works is that you put the installation in one point, and 2 kilometers around, the people can consume from that electricity as if they were at their home. So that's, if you make it collective, that's much better for the, of course, it's economics, scale economics, it's cheaper, but even it's faster. We are doing in a way that people don't have to invest before, because we are thinking about energy poverty. So you only have to pay a fee every year because it's a cooperative that invests and gets the money. And this fee, it's lower than actually what you could pay in the electricity grid, the price. So it's a saving. You are saving from the first moment. So that in that way, it's available for everyone at the first moment.
Are there solar?
Solar. Yeah. Yeah, that's, I mean, we will think in other technologies after, but PV, the best of solar is that it's very scalable. So you can do 5 kilowatt or you can do 100. We are limiting to 100 because of legislation. It's more complex. It's complex enough when you start doing that because, yeah, of course, I can tell you 100 stories of why we are not, we don't have any PV installation yet. We hope, I don't know if I dare to say something, but next month or in 2 months we will have, because we have the money, we have everything, but we have many problems. One of them is the grid owner, which in the first that we asked, they said that there was no space in the grid for that installation. But anyway, we have many, many barriers, but also we have many solutions that are being applied. And we will also buy 7 electric cars for car sharing because we have to change. We believe that we cannot change all cars to electric, but we will still need some cars. So at least the idea we have is that local administrations or companies can use the car Monday, Friday during the morning, and then afternoons and weekends the citizens can use it. That's the area we are working in. And as said, I could talk about this project a lot because it's very close to my heart. I really love it because I love the democracy in it. I love the participation. I love the idea that people learn to use energy in another way when you get involved with other people. And for me, it's the huge potential in this more human part of the community, not only the technological part, which is also, of course, needed. And then I don't have many more minutes, but I want to say another thing that we are doing. That's very small, but I will tell you what it is. And I think it's interesting for you. And actually, I would like to send you some questions. Maybe I can get back at some point. because now we are very involved in clean energy, how it's called? I don't remember now. Well, it's a EU project, Clean Energy for EU Islands, yeah, it's called like that. It's the European Commission, and they have sent a challenge for islands. They are asking that they want to have 30 islands that want to be decarbonized by 2030. And in the beginning, I was like, oh, no way. I mean, it's in the graphs, like, no way La Palma can be decarbonized in 2030. But then we were talking to them, and they were like, oh, maybe you can apply. And then I was like, I'm so tired of papers, that people are signing papers that don't mean anything, that our organization, we will not go to this, apply for this, if it's not that we really believe as island that we can achieve it. Maybe we will not achieve 100%, but at least try it. And now, so we have sent a call to the whole islands, to companies, to local public administrations, and to citizens, ask, should we go? Or should we just, I mean, I don't want to put more energy in things that don't mean anything. So we sent, it was a quiz that we made, so people could answer. So far, more than 100 people has answered, and everyone 100% want us to be there. Of course, we explain what it means, because it's very easy to say, yes, of course, but we meant that, and I haven't not put effort, pointed this, but I really believe that it's not just changing one technology to the other. We really need to make a deep change in the whole economy of the island, because most of our economy right now depends on activities that are very dependent on fossil fuels, and that they are very difficult to electrify or decarbonize. So we have to change the economy. Of course, these 100 million euros that I said every year, we could use that. So we have a real circular economy to change the economy without major problems. Of course, we have to reorganize, reorder everything, and that's difficult. But anyway, now we will start talking to the politicians and see what they say about this question, and to companies. And some of them has already, companies' organization has signed up, so they really want this. But my question to you is, how would you do this summer to convince people, or to make it that it's not just an empty promise, that it's actually that really, I don't know how to say, but kind of excite people with this idea that it's actually possible in an island, which right now, it's so many things that happen in the volcano now, the wildfire. We are very depressed as an island, energy poverty, all the poverty. How do we flip it? How do we change it? And I think I leave it here. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Nuria, for this excellent presentation. I don't know if you want to ask any questions to Nuria. Yes? Okay.
I always have questions.
I think there's somebody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this amazing presentation. I would love to understand a little more about the subsidies that allow the current fossil fuel companies to run. What are perhaps the economic incentives or inhibitors for the fossil fuel economy to prevail versus the renewable energy? Thanks.
Yeah. It's complicated. Right now, creating electricity in these Los Guinchos, it costs 200 euro per megawatt. Of course, that's a price that Europe has had this winter, which is very high, and everyone was saying, wow, this is really huge. But that's the real price that we're paying. We, in theory, should pay, but that's not the price that people pay in their bills, because there is this kind of law that everyone in Spain has to pay the same. So this is actually a direct subsidy to the fossil fuels that we are having, which, of course, it's fair that we don't have to pay so much more for living in an island, but at the same time, this is preventing that new investments are done. So this is, I think this maybe shouldn't be so high, because we don't feel the real price of the fossil fuels. And now what is happening is a lot of subsidies are coming to the renewable energies. The problem there that we see also is that people in energy poverty, they don't reach it. All the money is going to people that already have money because they have their own houses, because it's not 100% of the subsidies. They are giving subsidy to 50% or something, so people have to have the money before. So we are saying that the bridge between the people with money and without money is getting bigger because of these subsidies to renewable energies. So that's why we are putting a lot of effort in the energy community to integrate people with energy poverty, because we are getting subsidies also, so we can share it even with people who don't own their own houses and don't have the money of the investment. But it's a very complicated issue, how to turn these subsidies for the change.
I have a question. I really liked what how you portrayed this idea of the future not being a lift and shift where we lift the fossil fuel and we replace it with green energy, privatized, where the wealth is being extracted essentially. But the reality is also that innovation, aggressive innovation, is typically belongs to the private sector. And we heard, for example, geothermal energy requires a lot of research and development, R&D. So how do you see that happening in the public sector, or rethinking a model that allows for this? Because anybody who puts in a big investment in it is going to want to have some return. And again, the aggressive innovation is typically on the more like private side. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like to think about, usually it's talk about private public collaborations, right? And I like to think about public collective or public cooperative, because in the energy community we are private, but we are not for profit. So it's another way of thinking the private sector that thinks not the money as the highest return, but the commons as the highest return. And of course we are generating money and we are generating jobs and we are generating an economy, but we are changing the way that we are shifting the focus of the benefit. Of course, as you say, geothermal, it's very complex investments, and there are other technologies that you have to do investments. So I don't think the private benefit sector will disappear. But I think this example that what we are trying to do with geothermal here, it's interesting because public money is getting inside. Now, actually, there are two models, because Repsol is a huge private company. They want to explode the geothermal in La Palma. But we have created this alternative with its public, private, local. And we'll see which one wins. We don't know yet, because now, in these moments, there is this competition. It's a public competition to see who wins. So in a few months, we will know. But at least we are trying. So, yeah.
Can you go back for a minute to the, this is a small question. If you can go back to the showing the consumption, the increase of consumption over time. Yeah, this one.
No,
yeah.
Sorry. This is not increase. This is increase of PV.
You had another one with increase of the
consumption.
Yeah,
this
one. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So it looks like the big increase starts in the middle, like in the 1960s or so, which is exactly when the tourist industry is taken off like crazy, moving from 15,000 to 15 million or something. How much of that increase would you relate to the increase in tourism activities?
Yeah, well, I cannot, I'm sure, maybe Carlos knows better than me. What I know, I've been here in La Palma for 7 years, so I don't know so much the history. What I was very surprised to learn that, for example, in the north of the island, Garafía, electricity came very, I was in the 90s, right? Or early 90s or late 80s. So there were, electrification came very recently. In the 90s. So I think the island was very rural, very little electrification. So big part probably has to do with it. Then telescopes actually use very much electricity. Telescopes. the telescopes up there, because they have to be refrigerated all day long, and they actually consume quite a lot. And then there is the water. So agriculture probably has to do a lot to do with it, and you probably know. Do you want to say something?
Yes. Each time we consume more energy in the pumping systems to produce water extract water from the aquifer. Okay, because the surface.
No, but my question was, what drives that increase? It doesn't look like it's just increase of normal activities on the island.
I think agriculture has a big part into it, and then probably something of tourism. But La Palma, it's not a huge tourist. I'm sure in other islands that's much bigger. Actually, the data that we have, the official data, half of the electricity is consumed in households. So we don't have big industry. We don't have. Agriculture and telescopes are the biggest consumption. And then hotels, we have 2 big hotels, but most of the hotels are like rural, and here Carlos knows much better than me. But it's mixed households and tourism. It's not a huge sector here. I think we would see.
This is La Palma specifically.
Yeah, this is La Palma. Yeah. Probably tourism you would see better in the energy that comes from the flights. That's probably a huge difference. I don't know how much in electricity. Unfortunately, no, it's not. There is something in the official data, and I don't know the number, but it's very little what it comes from tourism. But it's because also a lot of tourism is in the rural tourism, and that's mixed with households probably.
Thank you very much, Nuria, for being so inspiring for us in La Palma in this time you have been here. I would like to point out a different question. I don't know if you have any information about that, but know how the consumption of electricity has been rising, but also how are we saving energy. In my opinion, talking about the observatories, we have the law of quality of the sky since 1988. Is there any estimation about how this law are saving in consumption of energy, having those systems in this kind of illumination, and also this change at the midnight, having this big reduced to 50% of this intensity of electricity?
Yeah. The problem with data is that we don't have so much good quality data. But if you look at the municipality level, changing the lighting, that's actually quite interesting numbers. You can get even 50% in the electricity of lighting. But of course, that's a very small part of the totality. Now we have another problem in knowing the data about savings, because household solar installations, they are not accounted as production. They are accounted, most of it, as savings, because it's behind the counter. So you are actually producing electricity, and the system sees it as a saving. But maybe it's not a real saving. And what we're working, because there are people that when they put their PV system, the first thing they do, free energy, and then they start consuming more. And there are the other type of people that actually, they start to get obsessed with the production of electricity, and they are starting to use less energy in their household because they get aware of electricity. So we're trying to push people more to the awareness side, but the problem is this, that we don't have so much data, and also because, especially from public administrations, they have been no focus into saving. Most of the focus is to generate electricity, but not on savings. And now we're trying to shift that also to put more focus into saving, because this is the cheapest and fastest way of doing the energy transition.
Thank you.
Well, I think we have to move to the groups now. Yes? Thank you very much, Nuria.